my friends, and welcome back to EVE Online with me, Mark from Dadex, and you join us today for a first look at the Tech 1 Gallente Destroyer, the Algos, which you've not seen me fly many drone boats in my videos because day to day there aren't something that I use ever so much, but I'm changing that. So let's have a look at this here ship. Let's have a look at the hull bonuses first, shall we? Now, as you can see, for each level of Gallente Destroyer, we're going to get a 10% bonus to our drone hit points and damage, and a 10% bonus to our small hybrid turret tracking, which can be handy when you've got railguns and the rats are getting in close. And the roll bonus is a 25% bonus to your drone's velocity, their speed in effect. I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that this is in fact Alvin 2. This video could be considered the story of Alvin 1, but we had lots of fun and we got quite rich. So let's have a look at what we got. This fit is very much a starting point. I'm thinking of what I may encounter out on the low sec belts. That could range from all the general frigates and destroyers up to the clone soldiers, up to the clone soldier transporters in a point 2, which we might just be able to deal with. We've got just enough DPS perhaps to do that. How comfortably we might be able to do that remains to be seen. But anyway, up in the top we've got 5 125mm compressed coil railguns. They're giving us a range of about 12 kilometers and an optimal of just under 6.5 kilometers. The guns are really the backup for the drones in the sense that when we look at PvE we'll use much longer ranges, but here in low sec where we've got some tougher rats we want to kill quickly so we're not hanging around. Relatively small railguns for the application and antimatter ammo for the damage is where it's going to be at. Now in the mid slots to start I've gone with a micro warp drive just to get us going so we can control the range. I've got the warp disruptor in there obviously because we may get into a fight and I'd like to be able to do that properly. For pure PvE use I'm expecting to replace the tackle with a small cap battery just so we can run everything better. The web is always going to be handy, certainly if the rats are getting in close to us, and we do know that slowing down these clones on the low sec belts is very handy. Down in the bottom we got the Tech 2 drone damage amplifier, a Tech 2 damage control unit and a Tech 2 small armor repairer. Now I could have gone for a reactive armor hardener and that might be the best bet if you're just fighting the rats, although that is going to have a cap demand and capacity usage is something I want to gauge based on this fit and tweak as appropriate. The resistances I'm getting there are 15%, each of my armor resistances. The reactive would put up to 30% on say kinetic and thermal if that's what I'm getting hit with, but I want the variety, I want that spread while I'm out here in low sec, and who knows, a little bit of a boost to our hull resistances may not be too much of a bad thing too. If I start pushing my luck, who knows. Right, up in the rigs we've got one hybrid collision accelerator, that's just 10% extra damage. These two here I've chosen 2 Trimark armor pumps. They're to increase the base hit points on our armor rather than rigs to increase our rep rate. I want to get a feel for whether I need some sort of buffer armor for any big whacks I might get. I'm thinking of those clone soldier transporters, and then let the rep kind of deal with a little bit less. Again, it's all to do with really gauging the capacity usage, but I think that's a safer starting point, is to have more base 8 HP, a little less reps. But there's only really one way to find out, isn't there? Now we need to talk about the drones because this is a drone boat. We've got a 60 cubic meter drone hold. I'm carrying 3 Navy hammerheads and I've got 7 of those beautiful Hobgoblin 2s in there. Now in this video I'm going to concentrate really just on flying the Flight of 5 lights, just for those of you that haven't got into your medium drone skills. But here in the simulation it automatically defaults to put out 3 hammerheads on 1 Hobgoblin. The ideal, that's given us just shy of 250 DPS. The actual ideal is going to be 2 of the hammerheads, 3 of the Hobgoblins. That takes us just over 260 DPS. And for the clone soldiers, etc., that would, and anything that big, that would probably be the ultimate one. But as I say, for the video, I'm going to really just stick to those 5 tier 2 light drones. Drone ships don't tend to look cheap because you've got to put drones in them, and this fit comes in there. It says about 17 million. I do have it. I'll just turn off the simulation. I've got a few bits and pieces in the cargo hold, including that cap battery and a small ancillary armor repairer and the nanites to go with it, because that's another way of saving cap if you've got a rep. And the drones come to just under 7 million, so do take that into account. It's always the case with drone boats. You've got the cost of the fit and then the cost of the drones. The cost of the actual hull and the modules on it is just shy of 10 million. I've done nothing to close the explosive resistance hole. I don't think in this kind of application it's something worth stressing over. If this was a pure PvP fit, I might well be thinking a little differently about that. But anyway, it's time we got out and put this thing to the test, isn't it? So we'll start gently out on the 0.4s and the 0.3s with a little bit of general ratting, see what we find. So here we are out on the belts. This footage, by the way, is at 2x speed. This is a battleship and we are having no trouble killing it whatsoever. We're in a 0.3. We've got him pretty close. We get our guns on him. We let the drones do most of the work. But apart from ducking and diving from the passing traffic and the locals, here in the 0.3s and 0.4s, we're having no troubles. All the frigates, all the destroyers, all the cruisers, the battle cruisers, this here battleship, and even the occasional clone soldier have all been taken down. And to be honest, I haven't really even needed to rep at all, which is really, really good. And I did actually go with the 2 hammerheads and 3 hobgoblins for that battleship. But here for this clone that we've got in a 0.4, it's just the 5 light drones. So we're going to burn over towards him fast as we can, getting close. It's on the way in that you're going to take the damage, as we know. We've done this so many times now. Once we're in range, we're just going to orbit, get the guns on him, get the web on him. Obviously, the other advantage of closing range like this to protect ourselves from his hits, and you can see he's just not hitting us at all now, is that we're right here to pick up the loot when we finish killing him. And off he goes, and as you can see, no drama, no hassle, and no stress. Exactly how we like our ratting to be. Keep an eye on your D-scan at all times. It's all down to you. It's when you're focusing on these bigger rats that take a little bit of a time to kill anyway, that you've been on that belt on the D-scan, maybe that someone's after you, could get a visit. Anyway, I've gone off looking for a clone soldier transporter in a 0.2. But on my D-scan, there is a catalyst, and I've gone to land on the catalyst just to see what happens. Now, this guy, if he just charges me, I'm going to be in trouble if he's got blasters on the go. So we're going to go in, we're going to get into a fight. He's already pretty beaten up, actually, to be fair. He's had a bit of a tussle with a rat. I don't know how he's got himself that beaten up. And I'm not going to apologise for attacking this guy at all. In fact, our logo is doing sterling work. It will be in covering up the slightly rude comment I got back from him. But once I get my drones over there on him, he's not going to last very long. But I don't really understand why this guy, if he's that battered, why is he lingering on a belt? Why hasn't he warped off somewhere? Why doesn't he run away as soon as I land on grid? Why doesn't he see me coming on the D-scan? I didn't put my drones on him till very late on there. I was firing my guns, but he was well out of range. He could have burnt out of my point. He could have just burnt towards me and died gloriously. I don't know, but why do nothing? And don't hang around on a belt when you're in that kind of state. Oh well, there's a lesson learnt for him. So, you know, these kind of kills on the belts like this, they're not big deal. I'm a great PvPer kind of kills at all. This is me doing my job. I live in low sec. This is me paying my rent. You have to deal with the other players. That's why it's not high sec. Obviously, I want the clone soldiers on these belts. If you're here, you're here to fight or run away. You know, you can't just be here thinking, well, I'm only here to rat. I'm only here to do my site. That is not how low sec works. But, little bit unfortunate, but I understand it can be very frustrating when somebody kills you, especially early on. He's got a reasonably good fit, to be fair. I'm surprised he was in that kind of a state, and I'm surprised he didn't put it to better use. But there you go. So we've got a kill. Not a spectacular kill, but the Algos can kill a catalyst. And if you do get jumped and you get killed in low sec, if you're as rude to the person that did it to you as this guy ends up being to me, he's not going to get any help, he's not going to get any advice, and if I see him again, I'm not going to think twice about going for him, to be quite honest with you. So do yourselves a favour. If somebody takes you down, just take the hit. You might be better off asking them how they did it than cursing at them, or speculating about their mum's morality, you know? Anyway, a couple of belts later, I've found what I'm looking for. It's a clone soldier, it's a clone soldier transporter, so his tag's going to be worth, at the moment, about 14, 15 mil. So let's have a crack. Now this 250 DPS ship, it's about as low as I'd go to try and take on one of these bad boys. So I'm going to get the web on him. I've only put the 5 light drones on him at this stage, remember. I'm trying to see what it's like to live just with the lights. I'm going to get in close and get under his guns. I'm going to start repping. I started repping a little bit late. When I used a coercer with this level of DPS on one of these clones, we got into hull. So let's see. I haven't been in hull for a while, and as we know, if you're never in hull, then you are playing too dull for sure. But no, this is pushing the limits of this fit. I'd much rather do this with the Tech 2 railguns, or maybe even blasters. I'll have a go at those just to get in and burn these down really fast so we can get the loot and leave. So, just like I said about the guy in the catalyst, while you're lingering around on the belt, all battered, look at me. Look at me, I'm rather battered right here. So I'm just going to grab that loot and I am going to get away. But we have taken down the clone, we have got his tag, and we have made it away safely. And I'm just going to warp off to a safe, rep up, let my cap recharge before I head on home. And now it's very late. I'm actually heading home here at this point. It's almost 3 AM. There's a Tyrannus around and he seems to want a fight. And I've decided, why not? I'm going to take a fight. I've put all the loot that I've got away. The rats are starting to give me aggro, so I don't really want that going on if I'm going to have a fight as well. So I'm going to warp back to the belt I'd prefer to have the fight on. Now, as I did mention, this isn't really an optimized fit for PvP or anything. It's both optimized for general purpose on the low sec belts. If I had Tech 2 railguns, I'd feel much more comfortable and I'd try to make a desperate effort to try and kite the guy, but I haven't. I haven't got blasters fitted, so I don't want to just sit on the warp in and let him just land right on me. So we're going to land, we're going to align off of the warp in. I don't want to burn away because I don't want to be out of my point range when he lands, if he does land. I'm going to keep my D-scan going. As soon as he appears on my D-scan, I know he's on the way to me. There's nothing else within D-scan range of this belt, which is why I like it. And there you go, he's on me already. So I'm going to get those drones out. Now, I thought I'd preheated my guns, but it's nearly 3 AM, so I'm not going to feel too bad about it. But I blatantly hadn't. So hopefully the point and the web has freaked him out a little bit, and we're going to go for it. I remember to overheat my reps, but I thought I'd preheated my guns. Oh well. And I do get this guy beaten up pretty well. I get him into hole. He's got some good reps going on. That's got to be an Ansil armor repper he's got going on there. And to be honest, considering it's 3 in the morning, I didn't overheat my guns. I reckon I might have got that guy. I wasn't even firing Navy ammo at him in that fight. That was just regular antimatter. Anyway, so I've lost the ship, but I don't mind. I can head off home now. I'll meet you back in the hangar. I think I called it the garage earlier. You wouldn't have guessed I was playing SnowRunner earlier, but there you go. I'm dead. It shows under 10 mil on that kill mail because it isn't factoring in the cost of the drones that I in effect just lost. But although I could maybe go back and get him if he hasn't, but I'm not going to bother. It's bedtime. So, Alvin's life is over, but he's done us proud. Long live Alvin 2. That's all I can say. Onwards and upwards. But let's have a little look at what Alvin achieved in his short but busy life. Look at that. 94.4 million ISKs worth of loot. Collection of clone soldier tags. A nice little bundle, in fact a dozen of the pink modules, the warp field generators. Also a little bit of loot I went back and got off of that catalyst that I got. But yeah, all round, very nice little performance. Pink modules, remember they'll drop on any ship from a frigate upwards. I actually found one and it was rare in a clone soldier in a 0.4. It's usually the frigates, the destroyers and maybe the cruisers I find those in the most, and that's why it's always worthwhile coming into rat in low sec, even if you've got quite a small ship, even if you need to avoid the big rats, because the little rats will provide. And the bounties have stacked up nicely too. And in case you didn't know, if you hover over the bounty payment amount, you do actually get a breakdown, as you can see, of what it was you killed. So I think between the bounties we made in the last 5 days and that loot, we probably made about 110 million in Alvin, which isn't bad for a ship that even when we lost him, we lost 15 million. We're well in the profit, we had lots of fun, we learned a fair bit about the Algos, and I certainly know how I'm going to take the fit forward. As I said, for PvE, site running, we're going to go much more kitey, probably with a cap battery and an afterburner, I think, to kill those big fat clone soldiers quickly and maybe get into a bit more PvP. We're definitely going to want Tech 2 railguns. We might even have a muck about with some blasters. But this is definitely a ship that wants to use its drones and use the range that the drones give you in most applications. Obviously, when it's a case of getting in to kill something tough fast and get away, you have to bend those conventions slightly. But we'll leave it there for now, guys. Alvin did us proud. Hope this has been useful, interesting and entertaining, or some combination of those three. So leave us a like, please, if you've liked it. Share if you think anyone else would find this interesting. It all helps the channel. Any comments are always welcome, especially taking the fit forward. And subscribe if you want to help the channel grow and know when a new video comes out. And the next video, which will be alphas taking down Mordus in quite cheap ships, and a bit of station game shenanigans that ends with a hot drop by Bomber's Bar. Always send your son to poke the bait, I say. We'll be with you very soon, but for now, remember, even is believing. Fly brave, take care of yourselves and each other, and goodbye.